Well, folks, I hope you had a good break, and now we'll get on with the show. So, I'll come up with another prediction. Israelis will declare victory in mid-year, but there is chaos over how the Palestinians are going to be governed. And I think that is going to be a mess.
No question about that, because that right now Gaza is just going to cease to exist.
By the way, have you been looking at some of the pictures of Gaza?
Yeah.
I mean, look, there isn't too many buildings left standing.
That's right. It's just rubble.
Yeah. So what's going to happen? Is the international community going to come in and say, we'll help rebuild?
Yep, I think so.
Doesn't that reward the bad guys?
If you get Hamas out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. If you could track down every Hamas member
Or enough of them.
and put a bullet in them, then yeah, I'd say, hey, let's rebuild it. But this scenario is going to repeat itself, it seems to me.
Well, that part of the world is so volatile.
Yeah. And they're so united in their hatred of
Yeah.
Israel.
Israel, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, there's a great article in this week's Barron's about the changes taking place in Saudi Arabia. Women can drive now.
Well,
Women can go out on their own now without a male family member being with them. They don't have to have hair covering. And they have gone from a handful of women in business to a substantial number of women that are in business now.
they one of the young prince that's
Yeah.
there now, I can't remember their
Yeah.
names, but he thinks a little bit more like Western
Well,
progressive.
he does. He was educated
Yeah.
in what, Oxford, I
Yeah,
think?
Oxford.
Yeah.
And he realizes, and they realize too, that their day of depending strictly on that oil is going to be limited. Like it or not, as we go on and on, there are going to be alternative energy sources. And he realized that he's going to have to bring Saudi Arabia into the modern world.
Yeah, and he's determined he's going to do it.
Oh yeah, and I think he will. I think he's very progressive in his thinking.
You know, Dwayne, that was a situation that had to change.
Mm-hmm.
And he's smart enough to realize that. And there's no one pushing back on the changes.
No.
It does not have mullahs that run the government like in Iran.
Oh, were those the
Now, the
Ayatollahs? They think in a box.
Yeah.
And they just got like this, and they see the Quran, and that's it. And
That's
they said
it.
their own interpretation too. It's not even
Yeah.
the worldwide Quran.
That's
It's
right.
their own interpretation of it.
Yeah. And the Iranian people were, until the 1979, until they overthrew the Shah,
Shah.
they were the best educated people
Yeah, they
in
were.
the Middle East. And we've got a lot of them in this country.
I was a good friend and went to school
Yeah.
with the son of the Minister of Education. Mm-hmm. An amazing young man.
Yeah.
His name was Nader.
Yeah.
I, for the first 2 years, knew him, thought he was Italian. I had no idea he was Iranian. In those days, I wasn't even sure where Iran was or what it was.
Yeah.
We went to his house one day, and on the mantle, there's this guy. He's got this uniform on. He's got medals all over here, and the military type flat hat, the cop hat. I said, "There, who's that?" And he said, "Oh, that's my father." He said, "Oh yeah, he was the minister of education under the Shah, one of the last Shahs." He said, "He's no longer with us." I said, "Oh my God!" So then he started telling me and showing me stuff. Oh, they had hunting lodges up in the mountains. They'd go, jaguar hunting. And they did this, and they had this, and they had all these servants and stuff. I had no idea he had that much money. Although I should have suspected it one time. He said, "I want to go down and look at a watch." It was a Pulsar in those days. It was the first one of them black watches with you press the button and the red numbers would come up.
Yep.
Never saw anything like that
Yep.
before. I think it was $1,000.
He
Bought
gave
it.
him the plastic and walked out with
Walked out with it. I'm going, holy cow! That,
it. Yeah.
those days, $1,000 was $1,000. That was a lot of money,
Yeah.
especially for a college kid.
Yeah. Yeah. It's,
I thought, well, I don't know.
It's
Maybe,
amazing sometimes.
maybe he's mafia. I don't know. Anyway, I should have suspected something there, but he was the nicest guy, and he was married to an American. And she was a cardiac surgeon, heart surgeon,
Thoracic.
and she was young. And they were both young. But we were older students. So we were going back after service, and he had a lot of stuff that I showed after a while. I got to know him and stuff.
Yeah.
And he said, his sister was he had sick brothers and sisters all over the world. Sister in Paris. He had somebody else here, somebody else. They just scattered. And I know we went to the airport to pick up his sister. She came in from Paris. And she gets in the car. Nadire's driving. I sat in the back seat. She sat in the front. And he says to her something in English. She answered him in Farsi. And Nadira says, I can't follow you anymore. She says, you're going to have to switch to English. She says, I have completely lost Farsi. And then she tried, how about French? She couldn't do that. He couldn't follow that either. But he said it's amazing how quick he lost.
Amazing. Sometimes you just are shocked when people that don't demonstrate how much wealth they have or the things they've accomplished or anything. They're just laid back people. When you really find out about them, it's, holy cow, I never would have guessed that.
We lived in an apartment again, in Ohio. I was in the military. We had next to our apartment, the next apartment was another. There was 6 apartments in each building. They were built like a horseshoe. Nice places, stuff. And there was a Mrs. Beckett over on the other side, and everybody would come out in the center of the horseshoes and stuff. And you knew everybody in the complex. She was the nicest old lady. She'd make cookies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't drive much. She didn't like to drive, so I'd go over there. I said, I'm going up to the supermarket. You want something? And she said, or do you want to come along? And she said, yeah. Then one day for Christmas, she gave us this artworky thing that's made out of blown glass. It's beautiful. You know, being an adult that I am, I had no idea what.
Lucky you didn't drop it.
Oh my God! I find out it's worth a lot of money. It's by a famous designer and all this kind of crap. And I said to Monica, I said, where does she get the? Well, come to find out, Mrs. Beckett, husband was Mr. Beckett of Beckett Aviation. They own fueling rights and rights all over the country at airports. You see Beckett Fuels come out. That was her.
You weren't wondering about where she was going to be able to afford to buy some spaghetti with meat sauce?
I was really nice to her after that.
Yeah,
I was nice to her before.
I was in the Army with a guy, and his mother, he told me his mother wrote children's books.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. He never bragged, but in conversations, how he thought about things as opposed to how I thought about things. Very wealthy family. His mother was loaded with money from these books, the sales of these books. And, oh yeah, well, of course we had the cook took care of that. Our chauffeur took me to...
Yep. Oh, yeah.
See, crap like that, you know? Hey, I got one more prediction.
Okay, what is it?
The Trump wins the election, and I gotta put my glasses back on. Election in the U.S. amid much chaos. afterwards.
I think you got
suspect-
about a 72% chance of coming true on that one.
Yeah.
Maybe more, maybe 75.
I really worry because I believe he's going to win. Logic says he's going to win. Let's put it that way. A lot can change between
Yeah.
now and November. But also, if this is a volatile election period with both sides throwing hate bombs at each other, I am afraid of what's going to happen if Trump wins.
I said that before. I said I never thought we'd be a threat from internally,
Yep.
but the potential is there.
Yep. And
I have no doubt at all that push come to shove, and Donald Trump says we're taking to the streets, folks. Get your guns. We'd have warfare in our streets.
yep.
There'd be a group of followers of him that would do it.
Yep. So you got it on both sides. Both camps are tinderboxes.
That's right.
Waiting to be lit.
Well, if nothing else, William, it's going to be an interesting time. Usually, I used to find that presidential elections were the boringest times because you wanted to go watch your favorite program, somebody was giving a speech. It would make me madder than hell. But now, this year, everybody is watching. Everybody's going to see what's going to happen.
Do you know what's interesting is looking at these poll numbers, the under 30 crowd, they had been totally Democrats. Now it's going the other way.
Even the
There's-
Hispanics are
Yep.
some are switching.
Yeah, and blacks are going. The under 30 crowd, 45% support Israel, 6% support the Hamas or the Palestinians, 22% really don't know, and 27 either refused or just didn't respond.
Didn't respond, yeah.
So that to me is a big change. And changing gears, are you planning on sending anyone to Notre Dame for their college education?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, let me tell you, they have an enrollment of 8,900 people, students.
Yeah, okay.
51% males and 49% females. I was surprised at that.
It's a flip from
Yep.
most of the universities today.
Yep.
Most have got more women than men.
Yeah, but Notre Dame had been a male university.
had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had 28,000 applicants, and they accepted 3,400.
Yep. That's
The lowest GPA average accepted is 3.
I'm surprised it's
The average is 3.77.
yeah. It's the threes are. You got something called a legacies in there. Daddy went there, Mama went there, Grandpa
Yeah.
went there, and built a building, and that's how you get a 3. Get from 3.7 to 3 because there's a bunch of 2.5s, 2.2s that got let in.
Yeah. What I read was that sounds like how a lot of universities are, but Notre Dame is pretty strict about legacies. They don't. No Walking Dead are allowed.
In there.
Annual tuition and fees,
Oh, I just looked that up. Go ahead. What you got?
$58,843.
Going up
It goes up.
big time now.
Now the total for everything, room, board,
That's
and
what-
meals.
You might as well put that in because that's what it costs you.
Okay, the first year, $78,000. Second year, $81,000.
Yep, pretty close to what I
Third
got.
year, $84,000.
Yep.
Fourth year, $87,43.
Yeah.
Total, $331,000.
When they played Clemson at the Fenway Bowl,
Yep,
that was Notre Dame, that was BC.
BC.
But I looked up Notre Dame, BC, Clemson, and a couple other universities. And they're just about all of them touching on 70 something to 83 or $84,000 a year.
The old days of finding a college or university for $8,000 a year pretty well slip sliding away.
I'm going to tell you, and I'll tell you this from personal experience. If you got a kid going to college, and then you can take this from Will and I here, and you don't look at your own home university system, UMass, particularly UMass Amherst, you're throwing away a lot of money, because that university has got as good an academic system as anybody in the country. And it used to be, when my son was there, it was like in a $12,000, $14,000, $18,000 range. Well, now it's up in I think about 26, 28. But that's a long way from $80,000.
Yeah, especially they also have scholarships.
Yes, they do. And for the most part, and not all, but for the most part, that type of education that's at $80,000 a year, and the kid wants to go there because it's the name, that's not a good buy.
No. However, Notre Dame is a magic name. That opens a lot of doors.
Yeah, it does.
And so doesn't Harvard.
Harvard does too.
Yeah.
And it's the contacts you make. But
And
if you
Yale.
Yeah, but if you're not going into a profession that needs that, if you're not going into investment banking and you can't get hooked up with the cream of the crop out there without that kind of a sheepskin, and you go there and you major in women's studies, well, come on.
Absolutely.
You go to Bristol Community College and do that.
Well, it's like I was surprised when I found out. Guess where a young man or young lady who wants to become an eye surgeon tries to go? Guess what the number one school is?
Harvard,
Wrong. UCLA.
UCLA, okay, there.
Yeah. And I found that out through one of my eye surgeons who we were chatting about. And he said, well, you're going to be one of the last people I do here at OCB in Boston. And I said, well, really? He says, yep. He said, I'm going to UCLA. He said, I've been named a professor of surgery out there. He said, I said, really? There's nothing like that around here? He said, UCLA is where you go if you want to be a top flight eye surgeon. They are just up here.
Yep.
Everybody else is down here. So he said, I'm really looking forward to this. Anyway, so that was that. Dwayne, I got one more thing there, and I'm going to put you on the griddle afterwards here and get some thoughts. But there is a 22% gap in mental health of teenagers. Kids from conservative families
Yeah.
register good or excellent mental health. 77% of them. But from liberal families, only 55% of the kids register as good or excellent mental health. And this is found out by the number of kids that are in therapy and all that kind of stuff. Now, kids from conservative households are at lower risk for having mental health problems. Why is this so? Better educated parents, more religious backgrounds, more committed to a two-parent household were the three reasons mentioned.
Yeah, that all adds up.
Yeah. Again, this country has been destroyed by the breakdown of the family unit.
There's no question about that. But a lot of psychologists and sociologists, they don't want to see that.
That's right.
You got to remember too, but some of these organizations, this sociological group or even a psychology group, are run by people that are dysfunctional to start with. You know?
Okay.
And so they just bring it in their own ideas. I bet you if we went to any kind of a sociological group in Saudi, how many come from are single parents, don't need a partner. So they already got that idea that single parenthood in a family is okay. It's fine. That's the way to go.
Yeah.
So of course
look at me. I turned out all right.
Of course that kind of beliefs and ideas is going to roll downhill to the clientele as they go on. So it's I think that's right and exactly what they came up with.
Yeah. And this business too, and this is going to make us real popular, but the feminists. I don't need no stinking man.
That's the
Yeah. I am woman. Hear me roar. Yeah. And as a result, it's sad because it's the kids that suffer.
Yeah, they do. They try to tell you that a single parent family is perfectly normal. But most of the kids that I knew that grew up either divorced and or one of the spouses died. Sometimes, a lot of times, the father was killed or gone. When you met him and started talking to him, they really wanted a family with two parents. When my son was at UMass, he met this girl from Texas, and she came from a divorced, well-to-do family. And he befriended her, and I think it was like boyfriend, girlfriend for a while. And she came to our house a couple of times on the weekends. And then she came for like Thanksgiving. She came for Christmas. She didn't really have any place to go because her mother was a state senator or state congresswoman from Texas. And she was always traveling someplace. And her father owned a string of nursing homes, so he was always busy with his stuff. So they didn't really have a lot of time for her at this point. And she clung on so heavy to us as
surrogate parents.
Exactly. And she was so grateful that we would, at Christmas time, of course we bought her Christmas presents.
Of course.
And she, oh my God, she started to cry. But that romance didn't go anyplace. But just the idea.
Lord set it up with man and woman.
Yeah.
And I'll leave it at that.
She told us that she would do anything to have a dream of hers would have been to have a normal two-parent family, family life.
Yeah. And she had a no parent.
No, she had no parent at that point.
Intents and purposes.
Except money. They embalmed her with money. She had a Rolex, she had this, she had that, but that didn't count in the end. It didn't buy it. No, it didn't work.
No, that's a shame. That's a shame. I got something scary here. Then I'm going to shut up for a while.
No, go ahead.
Only 48% of adults say they have enough money to cover 3 months of expenses.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised that it went that. actually that high, but you're right.
22% say they have no savings at all. 36% of adults say they have more credit card debt than savings.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. The credit card debt. I was shocked when I would hear how much per capita was going.
And one more thing. How many acorns can a fully mature oak tree in its prime, 50 to 70 years old, produce?
Well, you're going to have to qualify that. I just read about oak trees and acorns.
Okay.
They go in cycles.
Yes, they do.
And when they have bad years, for some reason, somehow, all the oak trees cling up. They don't produce nothing. And then they'll have abundant years and they all pop out at the same time. But I would gotta say when they pop out, they got an oak tree, a 50-year-old oak tree, not that big around. Oh God. 300,000.
It says 10,000.
10,000. Wow,
Yeah.
that was way old.
And who feeds on acorns?
Oh my God. Deer, squirrels,
Bears, turkeys, chipmunks,
even blue jays.
mice, blue jays, woodpeckers,
Yeah,
voles, raccoons, foxes.
yeah.
There's others too, but those are the main ones.
Well, we tried to eat them as a kid. You can't. Oh God, are they bitter? Oh. Have you ever had chestnuts?
Yeah, I don't. I
don't
was not
understand.
impressed with those.
Me
either.
neither. I don't understand
No.
what the.
I like cashews, and I like peanuts.
Mhm.
That's about it for the nut family.
Yeah, I like dry roasted peanuts. They're kind of one of my favorite.
Oh, dry roasted.
Yeah.
Okay, I like the
The regular ones.
wet roasted,
Yeah.
salted. What you got?
I want to know what you think of this. A story was in, I think it was the Globe. A $4 vase was bought at Goodwill. It turns out it's worth over $100,000. Now, should there be any kind of give back, legally or morally, ethically, not morally? Now, I did a little research on this, and some states have this superior knowledge law. You go to a yard sale. You didn't say which states had this, but you go to a yard sale and you see a painting. And you look at it, I happen to know that's a long lost Rembrandt. And the guy in the yard sale wants $5 for it. You buy it. But you happen to be in that
Superior knowledge.
category because you own a art studio or something. In those states, if that yard sale guy finds out about what he sold, he's got a right to go back and get his property back.
Really?
Yep.
That doesn't seem right.
Because you bought it with superior knowledge that you knew that he wasn't going to sell that for $5. It's a little bit like insider trading, but anyway, this guy here bought this vase. Now he didn't know what it was worth. He just thought it was a nice vase, and it was a $120,000 vase. My question there, he doesn't say he's going to do anything for the Goodwill company. You know, they sell stuff to make money for charity. Now I think if he really was a good guy, he'd write him a check.
How big a check?
$20,000. If he clears $100 out of it after the auction expenses and stuff.
See, I've hit scratch tickets for 500. I hit one for 1,000.
Now you went for $20 once.
I've gone dry on that too. It was the owner's daughter that sold me the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So I cashed the 500 in at. You have to go to Braintree and
Okay.
do it.
Now you got to go to
And-
Dorchester.
I went in the next time I went in, and I said, "Hey, thanks. You sold me a winning ticket." And I slid her $20.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. By your metrics, I should have given her 100.
No,
No.
no.
Oh.
'Cause she's not a charity.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. And she had no idea what the worth was of. But,
And she
but
knows-
that goes to that point, though. She had no idea what the worth was of the ticket she sold me.
But she knows there's the possibility that it happens.
Yeah.
This here that had no possibility.
Mm.
But it's just something I thought, well, come on, you cheapskate, for Christ's sake. It's goodwill.
All right. So I go to yard sales.
I ain't saying a yard sale so much. And I should have prefaced it like a goodwill. This
Okay.
company.
All right. So I go to Bethany House over in Millis.
Okay.
Now that's a Catholic charity, and people bring in everything, and it's like a flea market almost inside a building. There's books, there's games, there's glassware, there's pottery, there's furniture, there's paintings. I mean, everything you'd expect to find at a yard sale. Now I go in there and I buy books.
Books. Okay.
You read them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I go in there and buy a book, or even if I look, and I do look, and it's autographed by the author.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it up to me to point that out to them and say, you know, this book really is an $80 book, and you gotta, you know, it's in the hardcovers for $1.
Mm-hmm.
Should I do that?
Are you a nice guy?
No.
Yeah, I can see that $80. They're not getting. I mean, a life changing, like $100,000. Or if you say you're
Yeah.
kind of across that you knew when you picked that up, it was somebody's first edition, and it's a rare book, and they wanted $2 for it. But you knew it was worth, $300,000. I would buy it, but I would share the.
Really?
I would share the winnings with the person that,
Bay State Bill.
if they were a charity organization. If they were a bookseller, that just deals in books, well, then he should have known that if he's a bookseller.
Bay State Bill taught me a lesson one day. I collected baseball cards.
Okay.
I had a huge collection of baseball cards. I went to a flea market down in Norton, the Norton Flea Market, and underneath the glass, amidst all kinds of rubble, was a baseball card from the 30s. I think it was Herb Pennock. So I said to him, what do you need for old Herb Pennock there? He said, give me $1. I said, okay, there you go. I put it in my pocket. I knew Herb was worth $25. Should I have said that to him? You
No,
should
not
remark
necessarily.
that. So I said to him, as I put it in my pocket, I said, imagine buying old Herb Pennock for $1. He said, you happy with the purchase? I says, yeah. He said, so am I. I cleaned out a house. Every single thing you see, I got for free. I got paid $250 to clean the house out. There isn't one thing here that cost me 1 cent. So everything I sell, I am happy with.
He was happy with it. That's right.
He says, and I got a lesson for you, sonny boy, shaking his finger at me. He said, I don't fall in love with this crap. He said, if Herb Pennock is worth more to you than $1, great. He said, I don't fall in love with this stuff. I get Herb and you gave me $1.
Yep.
You're happy, I'm happy.
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't fall in love
How
with
much did
this
Herb
crap.
end up being worth?
About $20, 25.
Okay.
It was mint condition.
What would it be worth today? Do you think?
Double.
Double that?
Yeah, because that particular set of cards, the Gaudis during the 30s, hasn't appreciated like the modern day cards.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the modern day cards, there's a lot more of them. They're easily available and everything, but it's the one the guys want. They want a current player.
Yeah.
Whether it be the soup du jour, all-star, pitcher or player, someone they can relate to and watch.
I think that's the key right there,
Yeah.
that they can relate to. Because you can't relate to Ty Cobb.
No, you can't.
You know, he was a name in a history book.
Yeah. And that's why I had tremendous autograph collection too. And I had guys from that played baseball in the 1890s that were still alive in 1960 when I wrote to him and asked for his autograph.
Did they give it to you?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
95% returns. Yeah. Thanks for remembering me, Bill, or something like that. And I'd also ask him a question too, like, "Oh, gee, what was your biggest play?" Or "What was your biggest thrill play in Major League Baseball?" or something. And most of them would reply.
Good.
Yeah. But those autographs of those guys long dead, you would say, "Whew, that should skyrocket."
Yeah, it should, but
It should. It doesn't, because nobody knows who the hell they were.
yeah.
Yeah. Nobody knows who Jim Bagby was. No.
But you know, you always got to remember, anytime you're collecting anything, it's only as value as what somebody else will pay for it.
That's exactly
It
right.
has no intrinsic value to itself.
Nope. I bought a bag of books and brought them home. And I brought them upstairs to my computer,
Yeah.
and I went online with 8 books. Some of them were worth $80, $100. They were from the turn of the century. I mean, 1899 or 1912 and all that. So, again, it's what somebody's willing to pay.
What somebody's willing to pay.
That's exactly right.
I've got some old tools. My father used to go to auctions in the Midwest. And when they sold stuff like that, they just sold a box of old hand tools. And he'd bid $2 on it. So. And I got a bunch of Bailey planes and some other English planes and some old Stanley stuff that's worth some money. But I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I don't know the routes to get rid of them.
Go on the internet.
Yeah, that's where I found out what they were worth.
Yep. And you know what? I ask Google questions.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah. And Google has answered every bloody question I've ever asked it. Or at least gave me the pathway to find
find
the
it someplace
answer.
else, right?
Here's, basically a place that sells that stuff. Here's another place that sells that stuff. So then you go to that place, but they've answered my questions. You just ask them. Old tools, where do I sell them? How much are they worth? You'd be surprised at the answers you get.
I talked to a guy, oh God, this is 15, 20 years ago. We went to a New York State Fair, and he had a booth with antique tools, and he and I were talking about different things. Because he asked me, he says, "You don't have a number 3 plane, do you?" No, I know about that one. It's only about this big. It's worth about $100,000.
Oof.
Because he said his whole life he's been looking for one. I said, well, good luck. But I've got some other stuff too that I don't know what I was going to do with it. We are to the point where we got to start getting rid of stuff. Our houses are, man, I don't know about yours, but ours is getting full.
Yep. I know the feeling well.
And I said, it's ridiculous when you buy a double can of a 2-pack of shaving gel, and you open up the thing, and you can't put it in there. Now, I'm not talking about a medicine cabinet. I'm talking about a closet that's got shelves on, in the bathroom. Everything is full. And we get some go-arounds on cleaning stuff out. I'm married to one that doesn't want to get rid of stuff.
My wife's a quilter. You know how much fabric is in my
I
house?
can imagine. I got knitters. Quilters probably even worse.
But I listen. Would you care to guess? By the way, I bought another one too about 2 weeks ago. How many bookcases I have?
Oh my God, I can imagine.
17.
17 of them?
I buy smallish ones.
I gave you that one I never put together.
Right. I put it together. I had 17 of them. Full of books.
I remember I bought that. I looked at the instructions, said something about how you had to anchor to the wall. I said, no, that ain't for me.
Patrick put it together.
Yeah, he did.
Yep.
Well, did you see? Oh, I'm sure you saw. What was your reaction to Claudine Gay?
What I am interested in is not so much my reaction, but Mayor Wu made headlines this morning.
With Claudine?
Yep. She said this is racism at its worst.
Oh, baloney.
She was fired because she was black. She said the racists have won. And you'd swear, for heaven's sake, she was talking about a lynching down south. This woman, the integrity she had.
Front page of the Globe has got 2 articles. I just took a look at it. They're not articles, they're editorials that masquerading as newsy things. I said, this should not be on our front page. This should be an editorial. And that's what they brought out. Oh my God. She was crucified because she was black. Well,
Yeah.
That's not true.
She's a heroine.
Yeah, well, the capital sin in academia is plagiarism.
Mm-hmm.
And she was guilty of plagiarism.
Absolutely. And in fact, that number that was floating around is quite low. There was a couple of articles written where a student estimates that he found 30 examples
Oh, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff.
of her plagiarism.
Because one of the, I think it was the University of Pennsylvania or Penn State, one of the journalism professors, the head of the department, as a matter of fact, said, what if a student turned this in a doctoral
Yeah.
or even a master's program?
F.
Yeah, he says, well, we'd flunk him, kick him out of the program, or her. And just the same thing that she tried to pull over on a doctoral program.
But what was your reaction when you heard she is going to continue teaching at her $900,000
Oh my God, is that what she was?
salary?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I know the article I read, she's going to continue as a tenured professor. Tenures are hard to get rid of to start with, but they would never, ever try to get rid of her.
No.
No, oh no.
No, they
Yeah.
might as well slash their throats if they do.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'll tell you what, Dwayne, I believe any university that acts like that we should not be subsidizing with government funds.
No, of course
Not with the kind of money they have.
Yeah, their endowment is so large. It's
Huge.
I saw their endowment is larger than I don't know how many countries.
40 billion or
Yeah,
something like
that.
that. Yeah, it's huge. Absolutely huge.
Then they got the chutzpah to charge that much money to.
Yeah. It's maddening to see that and have them act the way they do, you know? By the way, 65% of parents provide financial support to their adult children. The average monthly amount supplied is $718
A month?
a month. Now, would you consider adopting me?
You're not getting $718 a month.
Well, then the adoption idea is off.
But,
That's off.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a higher percentage than I thought it would be.
You know, I think there's a lot of kids that have bummed money off dad and mom
Oh,
for
absolutely.
a down payment for a house. And now, with inflation and a whole bunch of other reasons, maybe they lost their job or something, dad and mom are making the payments on the house. I think there's some of that. And I also think, too, dad, the brat comes to dad and says, I never should have bought that car. The payments are killing me, blah, blah, blah. And dad says, give me the book. And he starts making the payments on the kid's $40,000 car.
There's a lot of kids today, I think, that are growing up not knowing how to budget.
Oh, absolutely.
We had to take Craig and set him down, or I did, well, both of us did. So I went out and he was graduating from UMass as a microbiologist, and he had a job, all lined up. He actually had started it, and he's buying a car. And we went to different dealers. Right away, he'd go to the super sport section, bucket
Corvettes.
seats, and well, not Corvettes, but if it was the car he wanted, the top sporty. I said, no, over here. You want the Key Biscayne, the Biscayne Chevy. You don't want the Impala. Well, it's mine. I'm going to make this much money, and I'm going to do that. I said, no, you don't. You don't want that. We went to Rodman Ford. And I forgot the car he was looking at. 10. And the sales lady come over and she says, he wants this one with she says, that's not the car for him. She says, that's way too powerful. I says, I know, he's not getting it. She says, good. She said, I don't want to put him in something like that. But anyway, so we said, all right, Craig, we got to go back and Monica and I sat him down. We all right, we're going to do a budget now. He hadn't got an apartment yet. He was still living with it. Okay, how much you going to make a month? All right, how much you're not clear on that. That's gross. Now we have to go down to how much you're going to net. Okay, how about insurances? All right, this auto or health insurance, car insurance, tenant insurance. He hadn't even thought about things like tenant insurance, renter's insurance.
Then there's rent,
Oh, the rent was there.
excise taxes,
How much your expenses? How you got to buy clothes? You got food,
entertainment.
gasoline, transportation, everything. So starting, of course, we're fudging the figures a little
course.
bit too. If it's
Sandbagging them.
200, we're going to 300. So he gets down. He says, "Well, I haven't got anything left."
Welcome to the real world.
That's what we said. That's what we're trying to tell you. You can't spend that much money on a new car at this point in life. He did compromise. He went down a cheaper model and a smaller car, but he was bound and determined that because he had that job, that was just, he was rich.
Boy, oh boy, huh?
Yep.
Life is good. Look at
Yeah.
that check.
That's
Hey, by
right.
the way, biotechnology. One of the talking heads on Fox Financial, one of the guys I respect, they asked him what 3 sectors were going to outperform the rest of the stock market in
Yeah.
2024. And the first one he picked was biotechnology. And he talked about 2 or 3 of the companies in there that were good buys right now.
Yeah, biotech is a growing technology, and they're coming up with new breakthroughs all the time. So it's
AI is going to become very important.
very important on that.
Yeah.
Because
AI is going to wiggle an awful lot of companies around.
You bet it is.
You know, I'm scared of it.
Are you?
Yeah, the robot come and kill me.
The robots are building other robots to kill the people.
I got to build a robot to protect me.
That's right. I'm not. I say I'm not. That scientific or science fiction. I don't see that happening.
You know,
I do see though AI causing trouble in a lot of areas.
yes.
Being able to make ads, TV things, where you can't tell them from the real ones.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem.
Yep.
But it's almost capable of doing it now without the AI on it.
Do you remember we talked a couple of shows ago about a boy that had pictures on the internet of him, and someone took them and put his head on them,
Yes.
on
yes.
nude
Yeah.
pictures, and was blackmailing them.
Blackmailing them. Yeah.
Well, after that, lo and behold, here comes a story in the Wall Street Journal about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's girls. Now, of course, girls are, I think boys would care less about having
Yeah,
nude pictures, but
you're right.
girls are a lot smarter than boys. The story was that they're very afraid about AI, because AI is going to be able to do this like that.
Yeah, and so sophisticated that you
Yeah,
can't.
that you can't tell.
Yeah.
And you and I talked about artificial diamonds.
5. Yeah.
And big article about that too.
Mm-hmm.
That they have invented a diamond that is just impossible to tell from a real diamond, and the fallacy of spending money for a big diamond, a real diamond, as opposed to just exactly what you and I said.
Mm-hmm.
Who the hell's going to know the difference? Nobody.
If you're talking about lab created,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're a diamond, but they're perfect.
Yeah. Now, we just got the 5-minute thing.
Yeah.
There's 2 stories that have come out in the last few days. Vin Diesel is accused of sexual battery by a former assistant
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
in the year 2010.
Yeah.
Paula Abdul
that's the one,
accuses an American Idol professor of sexual assault in 2002. Dwayne, I don't know. Something stinks.
Yes, it does, and you got to be really, really, really careful with these things, because how many of them are real, how many of them are fake, and there are even some out there where the person doing the accusing believes at this point something happened 25 years ago, when it really didn't. But in her mind or his mind,
I was drunk
It
and
did.
somebody grabbed me, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it was him.
and when I'm thinking back of it now, I said, yeah, he
Yeah.
was sitting next to me, and it must have been him.
And he's rich and successful, and I've
Exactly.
fallen on hard times. I haven't had a good movie in 3 years, and so I'll sue him. Well, I'll tell you what. There should be a separate threshold for this kind of thing. The evidence, it's got to be way the heck up there.
Yeah.
That threshold.
For a while, we had a lot of what they call false memory
Yep.
cases. Women would imagine that they got molested or assaulted, and there was some cases where, even there was one from med school. This woman was sure she was in the class that she was molested, and the rest of the students says no, nothing ever happened. And then they had to explain that under this certain anesthetic that these medical students were working with, your mind can pick up like it's dreaming, but you think it's real. You think it really happened.
Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right. There's these psychedelic drugs, for lack of a better word, that screws with your mind. And you're absolutely convinced that
It's
this
real.
guy groped
Oh,
you,
absolutely.
ripped your dress, blah, 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 and it never happened.
They had cases where, particularly with the children, would come up, make an accusation, and then they would find out that they were prompted or told stuff. And if they told it to them enough, the kids started believing it.
Stay away from Uncle Ted. He's
Yeah.
and he wants to do bad things.
There was this
with
case of a child daycare center around here.
Yeah, there was.
And-
Yeah, the something.
Yeah.
It was in the papers
Yeah,
all
for a
the
long time.
Some daycare
And then
center.
some of the kids, they testified that, this person could make fire come out of their eyes and was shooting puppies with it and ripping squirrels out of the tree, and where they were getting all these stories that were being fed to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And they were making them up as they were going along.
What made this girl decide
I
after
don't.
22 years?
This is hard to make a decision on, because you got somebody like that. What's her name?
Paula Abdul.
Paula Abdul, who's a celebrity. She's got money. She's got fame. I can see some of these people coming forward now with ka-ching, ka-ching. I don't have much. I don't want to. But if I can get this guy, I get $100,000 out of this guy or $1 million, I'm going to be rich.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I can see the motivation there, but I can't see the motivation with somebody like her.
No, she's got to have enough money,
Yeah,
for heaven's
exactly.
sakes, to buy and sell.
And I don't know if she's looking for sympathy or publicity or.
I wonder if she's been ignored now in the
Maybe.
entertainment industry and her falling on hard times, and this gets her back in the headlines again or something. I don't know. All I know is I would throw both of these right out of court.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
Unless you got some hard proof of.
That's right. Well, unless you got about 21 people that are
Yeah,
going to
exactly.
testify they watched him do it. It's not going to fly with me. And that, just something like this could ruin a guy.
Yeah, well, see, that's the bad part of it. He's already guilty.
Yeah.
Once you come out and you're accused, you'll probably lose your job, you lose your reputation, everything is just.
Your family,
even
your
if it's
home,
not true.
Your kids won't speak to
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're done.
You're done. You're cooked. Go to lay down someplace and die. Well, I think Andrew has just given us the wrap-up signal.
He says, get the
Gee.
hell out of here.
Yeah. Well, you got a pile of stuff to start with next time.
Well, there we go.
There we go. Folks, listen, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed us ranting and raving. If not, well, tough luck. We're going to do it again. So there.
If you like the show, good. If you didn't, blame Bill.
Right. Absolutely. So, on that note, good night. And we have snow in the forecast.
Boo.
So drive careful.